Welcome to the Holistic Kid Show. My name is Zane.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
We're the Holistic Kid Teenagers, educating us kids from the inside out.
Sadly, the number of people being diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder or ASD and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, also known commonly as ADHD, has increased in recent decades. Research also continues to go into the factors involved in these conditions. Actually, what's interesting is a study was revealed that there's a difference in how children with autism or ADHD respond to chemical plastic additives like BPA and other plastic production processes compared to normal children. Actually, according to a new study published in the Public Access Journal PLOS1 by researchers, have shown that children with ASD and ADHD often have a reduced ability to clear the common plastic additive BPA from their bodies, thereby increasing their exposure to PPA, which is more problems because
that is a problem because plastic is everywhere. How can we even avoid BPA? And what can we do to help our bodies detoxify from disease that can affect us kids?
We have the perfect guest to help us with just that because we kids need hope.
Miss Greer McGuinness.
Record kind of like that.
McGuinness, you're close, very close.
Miss Greer McGuinness is a registered dietitian, certified detox specialist, and certified master herbalist. Greer obtained her master's in nutritional science from Central Michigan University and is also a published researcher on her work with autism and alternative medicine. She is trained in herbal medicine to use herbs in food to support the body and treat health issues. Greer is actually an expert in food sensitivities, gut health, and detoxifying heavy metals and even toxins, which is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
She specializes in pediatrics with a focus on functional medicine for autism and ADHD.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We would love to know your story.
Thanks, guys. I'm really happy to be here. I love what you guys do, and I hope my boys, I have 2 boys, are going to grow up to be just like you guys. So I appreciate the work that you do. So yes, my name is Greer McGuinness. I'm a registered dietitian and certified detox specialist, and my story is actually one that's kind of common in this world where I was trained in modern medicine. I wanted to help people, and I thought that getting a degree and doing something that I loved with nutrition and food would really make a difference in the impactful life of other people. And unfortunately, my story, I was working a long time in healthcare, and we really weren't making as much of an impact as I thought we were. And unfortunately, when I had my first son, my son was developing normally and he regressed. So around 18, 19 months, he regressed into what we know as autism. And if I didn't see it, I wouldn't have believed it. So my son was talking. I have videos of him, speaking, and there was no red flags that my son was ever on the spectrum. Every pediatrician appointment, everything, he met all of his milestones. There were nothing that we were concerned about until he regressed and he lost all of his communication, all of his words. And basically he just sat in a bucket and screamed all day after he regressed. So I started really diving into research and trying to figure out what happened and how I could help him. And what I uncovered was the fact that there was so many things out there that I didn't know. And there were so many things out there that I didn't understand about our food and toxic load on children, and the fact that the autism rate is significantly increasing year after year. And for me, working with my son and now thousands of other children, I can see the damage that these toxins and their gut and antibiotics and all the things that we use today in modern medicine is really greatly impacting our children in a negative way.
So, right, autism has been on a rise, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it depends. So right now it's about 1 in 32 children. Some states have lower rates too, like New Jersey has 1 in 18. California is kind of similar. So also depending on the state, we might see a higher rate of autism as well. But the national average is around 1 in 32 children have some type of diagnosis of autism. We have about I think almost 4 million with ADHD, and about 2.1 million are speech delayed.
So you mentioned the word toxic load. What is that, and how does it affect us kids?
So toxic load means, so when you're a baby, your organs are still developing. You're you're such a tiny little peanut when you're born. So you don't have your full functioning organs or your full functioning system yet. So when kids, as they're growing and as they're developing, they'll actually absorb toxins at a higher rate than I would, or your older brother. They just kind of continue to absorb toxins almost like a sponge. I call them SpongeBob SquarePants because they just absorb so much toxic load. They have thinner skin than an adult. They eat more per pound of body weight. They absorb more. They inhale more air. So these toxins go into their system, and unfortunately, because their body isn't set up to get rid of them, their liver and their kidneys are not fully functioning yet. They are basically accumulating those toxins into their body. And when you have very chubby little cute babies, they have a lot of fat tissue, and that's where toxins like to go. Is they like to go and they sit in the fat tissue. So a lot of kiddos tend to have a hold on to that toxic load, and they just absorb heavy metals or mold or environmental toxins at a higher and more predominant rate than an adult would.
So basically, our bodies are like a sponge, and for babies especially, a lot of this bad stuff around us goes into their bodies, and they become sick, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right now, currently, per the CDC, roughly around 40% of the American children population have at least one chronic health condition. So you're looking at about half the US population of children, school-age children, have autism, ADHD, obesity, eczema, asthma. And that's a pretty significant rate, almost half the US population. So we are just consistently being bombarded with these toxins in these kids, and we keep coming out with more toxins. Every year, new toxins come out, and it just keeps adding to the environment.
You said that there's a bunch of new toxins that are coming out?
Every year, there's about 2,000 new toxins that get released into society. And that could be things from like cleaning products to makeup, yard products. So they kind of, as long as they kind of meet the criteria for like older products, like the same chemical compounds, they usually can get grandfathered in. But roughly about 2,000 new products are made about every year.
Wow, so many.
That is a lot.
Currently, we have over about 700,000 toxins or chemicals in the world. So every time you step outside, you could get in contact with up to 700,000 chemicals per day.
We are bombarded with so many toxins, and we know it's affecting us kids. And especially with the new research of microplastics, is really scary.
Yeah.
They are even finding these in arteries.
In our blood.
Yeah. So plastics are hard to avoid. And you talked at the beginning about BPA. BPA has been a problem. We know that has been a problem for quite some time. And now a lot of times when you pick up a new water bottle, it might have a sticker on it that says BPA free. But it's still, even though it's BPA free, it's still made with another plastic product. So just because it's BPA free, it's still made with a different type of plastic or microplastic. And the problem with these plastics is they don't really biodegrade and they don't really break down, and they can kind of recycle. So if, we put it in the landfill, it can seep into the water and then it seeps into the fish. And then we eat the fish and then we're eating plastic. Or it could go into the air and then it comes down as rain and back into our system and back into our water. So it's a ever evolving problem. And that's why they're trying to get rid of so many plastic items, because we just have too much plastic.
So you said that these plastics are everywhere. Is there a way that we can detox daily to manage these plastics?
Yes. So one of the first things that I typically do with my families or patients that I'm working with is I work on their microbiome and their gut. And the reason why is because our microbes are our gut is filled with all these different types of microbial species. And actually, many of them actually help to neutralize and break down toxins, so they become less toxic for us. So one of the first things that we really do need to look at is the microbiome and make sure that the kid's gut is working, because that's essential for any type of detoxing system, and like child or adult. But trying to remove plastic around your environment too, trying to not, don't cook or eat in plastic containers, don't have plastic forks and knives and straws and things like that. Really stick to removing as much plastic around you, because a lot of the times we're just eating microplastic. I think there's a couple references where people say that we eat up to about a credit card size of plastic per week. So we're actually eating and ingesting a lot of plastic, not only just inhaling it, but we're also consuming it.
So you're saying that we eat like this much amount, we eat this much of plastic. Imagine all that filled in every single week.
Like a credit card size. Yep, credit card size of plastic per week.
That's crazy.
I eat plastic.
But why should we care if we're eating plastic? Like, what do toxins really do to our body?
And microplastics.
Yeah,
microplastics. So yeah, we call them phthalates, or different types of plastics. And the research has shown how it can disrupt the microbiome, and it actually can disrupt the brain as well. So it can actually damage what we call the mitochondrial or the ATP energy system of the brain. So when you have, plastics, phthalates, parabens, heavy metals, mold, all these different toxins, that are bombarding the system, it actually the system stops working correctly. It impacts the liver function, it impacts the gut and the brain. So we get, I don't want to always just say like, it's always just plastics. It can be literally everything. And we are filling the bucket with so much toxic load that it's not just one thing, it's an accumulation of everything.
So you said that your son had autism.
Mm-hmm.
How does this specifically relate to autism?
So when my son regressed, between 1 year and 2 years, he had a variety of antibiotics from chronic ear infections. At the time, as a dietitian, we were always trained to allow everything in moderation. So you could still eat junk food as long as you eat it in moderation. So I was giving my son goldfish. I was giving my son Cheez-Its. I was always taught that those foods were fine, that they're not bad for you. And I really believed that for a very long time. So when my son regressed, I had to work a lot on his gut. And he had a lot of yeast overgrowth and things because of all the antibiotic use that had happened. And then when I did toxin testing, I couldn't believe that I had passed on a lot of my toxic load to him as well. So my son had high levels of mercury because I had amalgam fillings in my mouth. So I passed on mercury to him as well. So when I started, my son was about 4.5 when I started really detoxing metals and stuff like that. And at the time, his speech was very minimal. Okay. He could maybe label a couple things, ball, cup, outside, very simple, words. But when I started removing heavy metals, all of a sudden it was like a floodgate opened and he was talking in almost full, complete sentences. And I just remember my husband looked at me and said, "What did you do?" And he goes, how did you do this? I said, "I don't know." Like, I had just been working on different protocols and things like that. And I found something that worked well for him. And within 6 weeks, he picked up a pen and started writing his ABCs for the first time. And it was a very eye-opening experience for me because we were never taught this. We were never explained how toxins can significantly impact the brain. Everyone kept telling me that this was genetic, but there was no genetic abnormalities. There was no genetic issues with my son. We had gene mapping done and everything was clean. So that's why I started looking for alternative issues and alternative medicine and things. And that's where I started to learn about toxins and how much they could really impact the brain system and how it could prevent children from speaking, from being able to have eye contact or respond to their name or sleep. This was the first time I really saw how much toxins could impact a child.
Mm.
Wow, you are so empowering.
So empowering.
So empowering.
So thank you so much for your story of hope. This is why we needed you to have. We needed to have you on your podcast because you were such an inspiration.
Thanks.
So where can us kids start to detoxify daily and help us detoxify disease?
Yeah. So detox is I call it a whole body approach system. Okay. So it's not just about taking supplements or, sprays and things like that. One of the first things that we need to start doing is drinking enough fluids. A lot of kids really don't drink enough water, and we need that hydration to filter out our kidneys and our liver and to move toxins. So just literally getting children to drink enough and be hydrated. Pooping is a huge issue for a lot of children. I have kids that don't poop, like maybe poop once a week. And we know that toxins have to go out through our stool. So getting kids to poop on a regular basis is how we excrete toxins. Working on improving our fruit and vegetable intake. Believe it or not, like around 92% of children do not eat enough vegetables, and about 70 or 63 to 65% don't eat enough fruit. That's huge. So most kids are just consuming carbohydrates and maybe some protein, and we're leaving out really more powerful, antioxidant foods like fruits and vegetables. So getting the food aspect and just trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables in a whole food diet. 73% of our population consumes processed foods. Like, that's a huge chunk of our diet is just processed foods. Nobody eats whole foods anymore. Getting vitamin D, going out in the sun. So many kids are inside playing on iPads and watching TV that they're not outside in the fresh air, grounding, putting your feet on the earth. All of those things are actually a huge part of just generalizing detox. And, detox for so many people, they just think it's drinking green smoothies, and it's so much more to that. And that's what I'm trying to educate people and practitioners on, that it's not just about drinking green smoothies. It's about a whole body approach of feeling your best so you could do your best.
Wow, that's amazing.
Amazing.
Where can us kids start to detoxify daily to help us?
And our skin is also a big organ of detoxification.
Mm-hmm.
So we love using Epsom baths.
Epsom salt baths are amazing for detoxing too, because it also gives us magnesium. Majority of Americans and children are deficient in magnesium. So doing Epsom salt baths a few times a week will help with sleep and also help with detoxification. Lymphatic drainage and massages. Like my kiddos love getting, massages where we're just working on that lymphatic system. And I have a book out called The Rebalancing Kids Roadmap. It's an ebook, and it actually goes through how to do lymphatic drainage and massages with your kiddos, because it's so important to move that stagnant blood and, the toxins that might be pooling in different areas. And it's such an underestimated, piece. Like castor oil packs can be super helpful with detox. And we need to do that a little bit more. We kind of just always, we moved away from that kind of stuff, but it is really important to do that.
Some kids need extra help to detoxify, especially if they love having a huge toxic load. How do you know if they need more help with their detoxification?
So usually I do testing on my patients. So I said we do stool testing, and we actually also do toxin testing. So I actually analyze urine analysis, and we look at heavy metals, mold, and environmental toxins. And I can tell pretty easily now when I do a toxin test if my patient isn't really detoxing well, or if they're not excreting what I think they should be excreting or what they were exposed to. So sometimes it is testing, and sometimes it's also, I guess, a feel. Like I've been doing this a long time, and I've been working with kids for a long time, and I can really tell who's going to be my high sensitive detoxifying kid who might need some more gentle approaches and, some extra support. And then other kids who might need a lot, like not as much, and they can detox pretty easily. And, it just really depends on their body system, their diet, and things like that.
So on your journey with working with kids and even working with your own son, what are the two biggest things that you've learned that you might share with us?
Oh, that's a good one. I would say do your own research. I unfortunately, during my journey with my son, going through autism diagnosis and going through all the specialists, I just took what they said at face value. I thought that they were the experts and they knew everything. And I realized pretty quick that they did not know as much as I thought they did, or there was more to the story. So definitely do your own research and do some digging. And it doesn't hurt to spend a few minutes learning or, Googling something else or asking in a parent group, for support and some help, because I think that's the second big thing, is asking for help. I did a lot of things on my own because I felt very isolated and didn't think that other people would understand what I was going through. And that's where I started building my community of biomedical healing for kids. It actually just started as a Facebook group. It actually was never meant to be a business. I was never supposed to be doing what I'm doing, but I started a Facebook group because I needed support. I needed help. And I wanted to talk to other parents that were going through the trenches with me so that we could kind of band together. And I think that would be the really big thing for me, is just questioning things and then asking for help and asking for support.
Wow, you are so inspiring.
So inspiring. And we take glutathione daily and eat foods that can help us boost glutathione. Have you seen the benefits of glutathione? We would love to see your thoughts on glutathione.
I mean, you did all the research. So what can you
right, I did. So sulforaphane. So what I found with a lot of my kiddos, when I first start working with them, I don't put them on glutathione right away, because a lot of the times it's just too much, too fast. Okay. And I know a lot of practitioners do it and they put kids on glutathione right away. I really don't, because every time when I started doing it, it would backfire. They would detox too much too fast and their body wasn't ready for it. And that's okay. You know, sometimes I call it my build up phase, and people will learn about that if they get my ebook. I build up the body first. I support the body with nutrition, with diet, with supplements, and I build them up and I start getting their body to a better balance so it works better, because the goal is, you know, for them to start, you know, their bodies to start going back into a normal routine. Many kids that are so imbalanced, if you look, not to get too technical, but the methylation cycle to make glutathione has a lot of nutrients involved. And most of those are what my kids are deficient in. So they can't even produce or make glutathione because they're deficient in everything else. So I build them up so their bodies can start producing and making glutathione on their own naturally and easily. And then eventually when we get to about phase 2, phase 3, we start adding that kind of stuff in if we need to rev up the detoxification. So things like sulforaphane, you know, broccoli sprouts are, you know, that's what I wrote my research paper on, can be super helpful. But I've also seen it work negatively. It just depends on that particular kiddo. There's other supplements like NRF2 and NAC. Those are all great things that people can take for detoxifying and improving glutathione. But I always say do it with caution, because with my son, he crashed really hard when we tried to do NAC and glutathione. He could not tolerate it because of his poor methylation cycle.
We love to eat graphene that boosts sulforaphane and helps increase glutathione.
Yeah.
Our mom puts broccoli sprouts in everything.
Everything.
That's because she's smart.
Yeah, because they're so small and you can barely like notice that they're there. That they're so easy to sneak into anything.
It is. So I think parents get a little hesitant because a lot of my kiddos are very big picky eaters, and they can tell if you added something to a safe food or something. So sometimes we have to be careful. The goal is to be able to add things or to have the child help with making things to incorporate it so that they get familiar with it and stuff. You know, you can actually make broccoli sprouts at home. It's very easy. There's even some Amazon jars that you can do, and it only takes about 5-6 days to do that. And it's a cool thing for the kids to see and to get incorporated, and then, you know, trial it and see if they like it, because it really doesn't taste like that much of anything because it's such an early seed of a broccoli sprout.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I think Mama's also grown broccoli
Yeah.
sprouts.
Yeah.
Only and there'll be like some seeds inside a pot
In
or
a jar.
Yeah.
In a jar.
Yeah. So, I mean, people, we need to, you know, everything doesn't have to come from a supplement. You know, we can really work with a kid. Like, you know, I incorporate teas sometimes with my kiddos. Okay. A kid likes lemonade, or a kid likes orange juice or something. You can actually make a tea or something and incorporate that with some water. And make it into a juice. You can add a little honey, you can add a little stevia, you know, like you can add, you know, things to kind of, you know, get it to be more appetizing, and that can help too. So there are times where I don't put kids on certain supplements because I can get it in through food or teas or certain types of herbs if we can get them to eat them, which is a great alternative.
This was amazing.
Amazing.
What is one thing kids can do today to improve their body's detox process?
So one thing, I would say, you know, starting to work on their diet and eating better. That's really one of the biggest things. Is I usually tell my families, if we can start with one swap, just one thing. If you can find something else that your kid will eat besides goldfish. So say, for instance, your kid does like grapes. So instead of giving them goldfish, just give them grapes. You know, start kind of weeding things out and adding things in. So, you know, or finding alternatives. And for instance, when my son was little, he liked those little muffins that They come into like a white package. I don't remember the name of them, but they're
And we know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
There's mini ones, right?
Yeah,
the mini
I know what
muffins.
you're
Yeah, they're usually in like a chocolate or
Yeah.
funfetti and stuff. They're filled with so much junk. But my son loved those, and it was a safe food. And remember, my son only ate about 6 foods, so it was like so hard to get him off. But what I started doing was I said, okay, I'm just going to, this is very overwhelming. I'm going to take one thing. Okay, if I can find a different muffin, then I'm going to get rid of those muffins and give him a new muffin. So I started making my own muffins, and I started playing around, and I found out he loved these banana chocolate chip muffins. So I started making those and making mini ones, or I bought the Flax for Life, which are gluten-free as well. And he loved those. So I said, perfect. So I started stocking those in my house and taking them out. And then when he would go, I want a muffin, I'd give him an option. Do you want the banana chocolate chip, or do you want the flax muffin? Which one, and you can choose which one that you like. So he had 2 options, which gave him more of an empowerment and control over his food too. And there was times where he would ask for those other muffins, and I say, I said, I don't have those today. I'm so sorry, and eventually he would stop asking, and and now he eats those other muffins all the time. So just breaking it down and doing one swap, even if it's pasta, if it's, a different, snack bar or something, just doing one swap and trying to be more whole food based is really important.
I think our mom did the same thing, because when people ask, how did you switch from eating all this junk food to switching all this organic food, especially when we were little? And I just say, our mom, we only ate what was in the house and what our mom fed us. And so whenever we want something, she said, we don't have that, or I didn't buy that.
Yeah.
Right? So remember, buy what you want your kids to eat. Well, you buy what can nourish your children's bodies, because that's what worked for us.
Yeah, and don't take them shopping, because unfortunately, anytime I take my kids shopping, they'll see like the Eggos have like a Spider-Man or Fruit Loop, Eggos, and they're like, oh, look. And I'm like, no, no, I put the kibosh on that. So if they don't see it, they don't realize that it's not available anymore.
Exactly.
So that's what worked best for us. I know every family is different, and we kind of have to sometimes work on the situation that's at hand for us.
So
where can people and working parents and kids learn about you and your amazing work?
So I keep everything the same. So Biomedical Healing for Kids, it's my Facebook group, my website, and Instagram. So people can come. My Instagram, I share tons of information and give my parents a lot of support and trying to address different things that they could help learn about. I have a private Facebook group too that they can come in and ask questions. I'm pretty active in there as well. And my website has a lot of information and support there for my families as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks so much for this is such a powerful episode. Gives us kids and parents so much hope.
So much hope.
Yeah, taking control of your life, as a parent, I think was very empowering. And that was really important for us, and that's a really good thing for families. They have to understand that you can take control. You can take that power back. I understand sometimes we give our kids a little too much power and a little too much control, but we can start to slowly take that back with a change of mindset.
So thank you again. Now let's recap Miss Greer's key points.
So, Go ahead.
Just so the people know what we talked about. 1 in 32 children have been diagnosed with autism. Autism and ADHD is on the rise, sadly. But us kids are accumulating and more toxins daily. These toxins like to sit in the fat tissues, which can really hurt us kids when they bombard the system, contributing to more and more disease.
We need to start with drinking enough water. Make sure you're pooping daily, as toxins get out of our system by us pooping. Eat the rainbow of fruits and vegetables that are packed with antioxidants. Eat a whole food diet. We have slowly shifted away with modernization and we have limited eating whole.
Ultra processed foods.
We've limited eating whole foods, and now we're eating ultra processed foods.
Wow.
So we have to get back onto the whole foods diet.
Mhm.
Find healthy alternatives for the ultra processed foods your kids love. Go out in the sun, grounding. Put your feet on the ground. We love Epsom salt baths.
Touch some grass.
Yeah, touch grass is what I say. And also do your own research. Ask for help before you really detox.
Mhm.
And build up your body first before adding glutathione.
So that it doesn't, because for some people, glutathione, they can detox too much.
Mhm.
And that
Too
can go
much too fast. Correct. Yep.
Yeah,
So
they're
then-
not ready.
So
yet.
learn about your body.
Mm-hmm.
Every family is different. There's so much hope. There's so much us kids can do to help our bodies detoxify daily, to help us heal from the inside out daily. And
Make sure to check out Miss Greer McGuinness on social media. And definitely, you have a book, right?
I have an ebook. Yep, we're
ebook.
balancing kids roadmap. I'm hopefully going to turn it into a book. That's my goal. But yeah, I put this ebook together because I had a lot of families asking and needing a lot more support and something that they could read through and really understand my approach of the rebalancing kids roadmap and how they can set up their kids for success.
So definitely go check that ebook out.
And thank you everyone for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Zansari.
I'm Abdullah.
And I'm Imad.
Follow my family and I on social media, Holistic Mom D, and look out for my mom's book, Fake Food versus Real Food, that is out next week, that I illustrated. And our book is coming out in 2025 called The Teen Health
Revolution.
So stay tuned. We need to empower the us kids from the future out.
We need to empower us kids.
We need
from
to
the inside
educate
out.
and empower from the inside out.
Check out my family and I on social media, and especially on Holistic Mom D.
And yeah, look out for our books. So stay tuned.
Thank you, everyone.
Everyone.